So if you follow Bev and I at all in our teaching, you've heard us talk about creating gaps, and that being one of the primary ways that we become successful in business. And those gaps across all areas: service, amazing service, consistent and amazing service, relationship building, finding that level of connection with people, and then building systems and being very organic and authentic in making that happen and ongoing. All of those things create gaps. It's really kind of sad because it's not what people are used to today. They're not seeing that level of business excellence and savvy. For photographers, those things are just as important, if not more so. But I think at the heart, for Bev and I, the way that you create gaps and become successful in this industry is in defining a style that is unique and different, and I think and distinctive. And I think there's 5 keys that I want to share with you. Not all in this particular piece, but I'm going to share all 5 of them over a period of time. We're going to start with the first of what we consider 5 keys to truly being successful in defining a style. And there's more than 5. I know there's more than 5, but these 5 to us are absolutely foundational. And what's nice about photography and building a brand for photographers is we build it around our very heart and soul, our essence, our art. That's wonderful. That's an advantage, because if you think about like, it's a little bit like a chef. A chef would have a very distinctive menu, and you might go for that particular chef because of the way they put things together. But if you think about like some clothing stores or different things like that, they might have the same things that the 4 other shops down the street have. So they have to create their distinction in a lot of other things: packaging, service, their client experience, all of those things. So we do that as well, but we do it on the back of a very unique and different style. So I think that's an advantage, and we build our brand around it. So I think your style is at the heart of distinction. It's the heart of your brand. It's the heart of your success, and it's at the heart of creating gaps between you and the masses. What makes your heart beat faster? What are you passionate about? Finding those things and then beginning to flesh them out. And so those 5 keys that I believe are important to building a successful style are: number 1, clarity. That's what we're going to talk about today. It's not so sexy and magical sounding, but boy, is it important. Clarifying who you are as an artist and defining all of the parameters and the distinctions, so that when people look at it, they go, "That's a Walden portrait." And I think that's, first key. We're going to talk about that. The second key to me is technical excellence, and that's for another piece that we'll do. So clarity, technical excellence. I think then the third thing is that's where the magical one is, on this third one. Can't wait till we get to this. So just follow along on us on this. But the third one is purpose. What's the purpose of your art? In other words, how does it serve others? How does it reflect the things and the people that are important to them? How do you do that? And purpose really goes to the heart. And so that's kind of where the magic pixie dust in your style is. But all 5 of these have to wrap around that. So purpose is third. I think number 4 for us is investment worthiness. There are things that make your work investment worthy. It can be in the way you deliver it. It can also be in the style, which will, as a whole, the style is something that's not cute or novel, or, it's like fashion. There's fashion that's timeless, and then there's fashion that's not, that's faddish. So we'll talk about that. And then the last one, I think, is the hardest one to swallow. It's like taking your medicine, to be honest with you. And that is consistency and redundancy. So again, we want to flesh all those out over time. Today we talk about clarity. Who are you and what do you do? That is at the heart of people recognizing your work. Don't worry about whether they like it or not. Worry about whether they recognize it or not, because you're not going to be the photographer for everybody. Because if you are, you're not going to be at your potential. And I would venture to say your work's going to be way short of the excellence that we're working for, because when you're a little bit of everything to everybody, the jack of all trades, as they say, master of none. That's true in this particular profession as much or more so than most any. So clarity. Who are you and what do you do? Let people know that distinction. That really comes in doing less. One of the things I'm working on right now, just on a personal note, is writing, to people, emails, writing stories for blogs, and whatever it might be, is writing. And honestly, in the past have been a terrible writer. I'm getting better. I'm getting pretty good at it. And what I've learned is that writing it wasn't that I was writing poorly. It was I was writing too much and I was done, and it was cluttered. It was overdone. And as I've worked with different apps, bought different apps, and Beverly, who's an amazing writer, she has helped me and read through and what I've done. Most of what has made it work is carving away the too much wordiness, getting down to the heart of what it is I'm trying to say. So I might write 4 or 5 paragraphs, but when we get it down to 1, maybe 2 at the most, it cuts right to the heart. You know exactly what the message is. It touches you, and it does it in a powerful way without all of the explosion or the word salad and all of that. So your style is that way. That's really what clarity is like, is carving away a lot of stuff. Now, we have to look at a couple of things as we identify this. Number one, and forgive me, I don't want this to sound chastising, but I think we all need to hear it, is that we understand who we are and what we do. But then because of that, we become our own worst enemies, right? Because it's like, well, you know what you do, and you know how you do it, and you know that this is better than somebody else's, or this is a little bit of this or that. And so we have this, we become our own worst enemy, and we have this terrible misunderstanding because we understand what we do, so does everyone else. And they don't. The reality is they don't. And here's the really hard part of that message that kind of, it feels a little chastising. I apologize, but speaking to all of us, myself included, and that is that it's not their job to understand what we do. It is our job to make it clear what we do. We can't say, I keep showing these images and people keep wearing the wrong clothes, or they keep asking for this or doing that. And the truth of the matter is, we're not identifying ourselves with the level of clarity that we need to, and distinction and uniqueness and consistency for them to understand that. And they're not going to stop and say, boy, Walden's, that's a studio here in town. I really want to dig in and see what they do. It's not going to happen very often. They're going to see you work in somebody's home. They're going to see it somewhere else, or they're going to see it on exhibit. They're going to go, I love that work. It's unique. It's different. It's powerful. It's emotional. That must be a Walden portrait, right? And so when you get to that level of clarity, you are on track to building an amazing and successful style. That's cornerstone number 1. Who are you and what do you do? Great brands form people's expectations and then fulfill them. Remember, everyone comes to you with an expectation. Doesn't matter whether you want them to or not. They have an expectation. The question is, who formed it? And if it was formed by just what they think of photography or other experiences, or just some crapshoot in their mind, it was, I think it'll be like this, then there could be a high level of disappointment. You could do an amazing job and still disappoint a client because they had a different expectation. Doesn't mean you did a bad job. It just means you didn't fulfill their expectation. Clarity forms their expectation. That's what clarity does. It has to go through everything we do, but clarity is a forming of expectations. So as you hone into that style, and I would say it's nice when that style can be unique from the masses. I think it's a great time to do studio work, or do work in a home, or take a background somewhere, do something in a particular area that the average person can't go to, and it has amazing light. It really, whatever that might be. I think, that's more powerful than running to the same park everyone else does and thinking they're going to always see the difference, because they don't. So I think, that's important. So I think running where the masses can't go, and then making sure that it has all the qualities that we'll talk about in another piece down the road. So I think clarity, what do you do? Who are you and what do you do? That's at the heart of separating yourself from the masses. Then I would also challenge you, and this may be a little bit hard to swallow, but I believe it from the bottom of my heart. And that is that creativity lies inside of a box, so to speak. But I used to teach photojournalism, and I had these young first-year students, and when you critique their work, their way out in their mind of needing to learn, because what you said maybe was tough for them to hear, was, well, I'm just creative. No. Creativity is not doing anything you want any way you want. Creativity, for me, is finding the uniqueness that makes me an artist, the things that's distinctive. And then when I get inside that box, I hate to use that word, but get inside that box of who I am, what's really neat is you begin to finesse. And you really can't finesse when you're doing a little bit of everything. 4 outfits, 5 backgrounds, let's go over here, let's go over there. And we start thinking about variety. Well, variety can become an enemy of creativity, because instead of all the little things that make an art piece amazing, we're trying to get through everything. And then you hear things like, oh, I love this portrait of me, but I really like the blue shirt with the yellow background. But I like this expression. I'm just not sure what to do. And then you start showing them your work to select from, and it's like an explosion of stuff. And people lose the emotion and the connection to the work, and they're trying to decide, well, do I like this or this background? Do I like this or this? When you get distinctive and they're choosing you for the right reason, then you stay in your lane. And the creativity comes in that high level of finesse. And so once we began to create relationship photography, which is really what separates us from the masses, it's really, I tell everybody, it was a God-inspired idea, because I'm not that smart. And it was high emotional value, black and white photography in the studio, all about telling people stories, body languages, the body language and the snuggling and the embracing and being able to capture that. And when we began to define that, we started making quality decisions on our lighting, on the clothing, on our background selection. When I create a relationship portrait, I don't use different backgrounds, I use one. We don't change clothing, we choose the right clothes and we stay with it. Because I don't want somebody to lean down and caress their child and say, oh, I love that, but your tie is crooked, or the button's shining on that, or it's going this way or that way, or whatever it might be. So I stack the deck in my favor. I don't do color and black and white together. You might say, well, aren't you missing out? No, not a lick. Because I have got people choosing me for my art. I get variety in other ways, who's with who, different poses, not so much different backgrounds, different clothing. And then I began to stack the deck in my favor. Vision, I have a vision before I even get people in there, and I get them on board with that vision. And so we talk about, here's what you're gonna wear, because this is gonna allow this style, this look to kind of come to fruition. So clarity is one of the keys. I guess, gosh, there's just so much that I could talk about in this area, but I will say, don't. It's going to take some time. Don't get in a hurry, but get intentional. When you get in a hurry, you're going to mess up. But if you get intentional, you'll get there. And so what I mean by that is make an effort. Sit down and go, what makes my heart beat faster? What is it about my art that I love to do? Because if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to be excellent at it. And then what is it what is it about my work that other people comment on and they love? And then begin, like that funnel with water pouring in it, begin to let it come down to a stream. And you say, well, it's always in black and white maybe, or it's always in color, and it's always in low key, deeper tones, or it's always dramatic lighting, or maybe it's always very light and airy. I don't know what it is, but begin to define it. Understand that it's going to take some time for that to play out. It's going to take some time, and I hate to tell you, but it does. But here's the thing. As you give it the time, it took us about 3 years from the first capture with the idea of a relationship portrait until it became what it is today, which years and years later. So it took about 3 years for that to happen. But yet and it's still today, 25 plus years later, it's still at the heart of our success. People go, I want a Walden relationship portrait. I want one of your black and white relationship portraits. They don't say, can you do that in color? Can you do? Because we've defined the art, we've given it the time. The other thing that I'll close on is that as you clarify your art, you'll become better at marketing and sales because you'll get better at messaging. Messaging is an important part. What does a Walden portrait do? It tells your story. It shows your beauty. It brings the magic into play. It's about body language, not about expression. It's more about body language and people interacting or relating to each other. So we've defined it now, right? So now we can begin to express it. It carries through our marketing. It carries through the art. We tell their stories with it. And it's just been a powerful turnaround of our business 25 years ago. So, gosh, I just want to say so much. I've gone longer than I'm supposed to, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like the video, subscribe to it, share it with others, because it helps us to continue to build this channel and do some other education we want to do. And please understand that Bev and I sure appreciate you.